Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for August 11th through 17th. This week I read one book, I watched 2 shows, I watched 1 movie, and I listened to 2 books. But first, coffee. I've got this weird thing going on where I know I stayed up way too late last night because there was a thunder and lightning storm that I really just wanted to watch for as long as possible, which makes me feel like I should be really tired, and I think I am really tired, so I'm wondering how much sense I'm going to make. But at the same time I feel fine, so I'm just like dubious about what my own brain is doing, hence why I'm definitely making sure there's some coffee in there before this happens. Try to make me eloquent. The book I finished this week is called Such a Bad Influence. The main character in this one is Hazel, and she has a younger sister and a mother who are both huge influencers, but she's not about that life at all. She absolutely loves her little sister. She's got a really strained relationship with her mom, and her sister is 10 years younger than her, and basically their popularity blew up because of a family tragedy. You see, just before her little sister Evie was about to go to a dance recital, her mom actually shot this really cute video of her and her dad doing her dance recital moves because he had basically memorized them, and he was basically helping her out to make sure that she did a good job at the dance recital. And then when he was at the recital, he remembered, oh yeah, aren't people supposed to give flowers and this type of thing? So he leaves after her performance, but before the performance is done, to go get flowers and is killed in a car crash. Then a couple weeks later, her mom uploads the video just basically being like, you're gonna cry when you see this story behind this video. And it went viral, and they've been basically influencer celebrity types ever since. However, Hazel's just gotten word that her little sister Evie has been missing for 6 days and her mom never bothered to tell her. In fact, she went missing in the middle of a TikTok live and nobody knows where she is. This one had a lot of delicious twists and turns, and if you're online as much as I am, seeing the conversations about people who do like family vlogging and how that's not really ethical for the kids, not to mention most places don't really have rules as to the money being put aside for the actual child, and a lot of the times the parents will be using the child's money and there will be nothing saved for them when they're 18. Which, side note, if you want to know more about that, there's a great podcast called Dear Hollywood. I'm blanking on their name. I want to say it's Allison Stoner is the host of this podcast, and they were a child actor. You've maybe seen them in a few things, and they're talking about the industry through that lens, and it's just such an important podcast, so definitely check that out. I'll link it down below. It's here on YouTube as well. What I really loved about this is I had no idea where it was going from point to point to point, because obviously Hazel wants to find her little sister and she's trying to figure out what's going on, and we get these flashbacks to different things that have happened in her little sister's childhood and how her mom has acted and how her mom is just a manipulator and all of these different things. But then we also have to look into the boyfriend, because oftentimes if somebody goes missing, it's their partner that had something to do with it. It's just a statistic, so that person has to be looked into. But then about a year ago there was also this falling out with her best friend, and we come to learn that she thinks that she was being watched, and there's this person that keeps leaving these messages, and what exactly is the truth? I found this one thrilling. I very much enjoyed it because it delved into some conversations that I've not seen in a book before, which was great. On to what I watched this week. I of course watched over a season of Criminal Minds. I started on the 1st episode of the 8th season and got all the way through the 5th episode of the 9th season, which means that not only has a lot happened for the main cast, because the 8th season in particular is pretty heavy for some of the cast members, but we've also had a lot of really cool guest stars. For example, Michelle Trachtenberg, Buffy's little sister, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, and I can't remember his real name right now because, like I said, I'm really tired, but the guy that plays Luke Cage is also in an episode, I think maybe the last episode I watched. And those are just the highlights, because I'm pretty sure I saw other people that I was like, oh my goodness, it's that guy or that gal from that thing, because I do that a lot while watching this show. And then I have to look it up and be like, why do I know this person? Oh yeah, she's from Ghost Whisperer, which I definitely used to watch back in the day, and she's in 2 episodes of this. Okay. Listen, I'm not here to tell you whose hearts get broken in this season, because oh my god, a lot of things happen in this season. And I came to realize that I'd actually seen one of these episodes before, but because I didn't have all of the context outside of a previously on at the beginning of the episode, it didn't have the emotional impact and it didn't stick with me, and now I'm never going to forgive that particular actor for what they did to that particular character, is all I'm gonna say. We also watched a couple more episodes of Doctor Who. We finished up the 3rd season and we watched the Christmas special. And this Christmas special in particular had a guest star of Kylie Minogue, which I just thought was awesome because her name showed up at the beginning, which is very unheard of. It's usually just like whoever's playing the Doctor, whoever's playing the companion, and then if John Barrowman happens to be in the episode, his name will be there. And I guess she was the companion for this episode, but I knew that there was no way that she was going to be a companion long term. One, because I've seen little snippets of episodes here and there with this particular Doctor with a different companion, and I kind of figured that if Kylie Minogue was going to be a long-term companion on the show, I probably would have heard about it before. Also, this will probably annoy anybody from Australia, but whenever I think of Kylie Minogue, I don't think of like amazing pop star, although she is, she's wonderful. The first thing that always comes to my mind is, I'm the Green Fairy, because I love Moulin Rouge, and that's the character she played in that. My first tattoo ever was a Moulin Rouge tattoo. It's on my ankle, it says Freedom, Beauty, Truth, Love. In any case, yes, watching Doctor Who, very slow pace because I am watching on my way through Criminal Minds, and Chad and I only sit down to watch the same thing every once in a while, and he doesn't have the tolerance to just like watch through a bunch of episodes. We usually watch like 2, maybe 3 at a time. On to the movie we watched, which is something I feel like I had seen about 30% of on the internet because it's very memeable, but shocked my roommate by saying I had never actually seen it before, and that's The Emperor's New Groove. This is one of those movies where I was like, yeah, I could probably tell you kind of the gist of some characters, and I could tell you some lines because I've definitely seen them used over and over. Sometimes in Rachel's videos, because there's one clip when things don't make sense that she uses over and over and over again, which I find hilarious, by the way.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
But it was also really fun to go into this and just be like, is that John Goodman's voice? Is that Eartha Kitt's voice? I didn't guess David Spade, but that's also because like my roommate said it before I even had the chance to even think about wondering who the voice actors were. If you've never seen it before, this is about an emperor who's very, very, very self-serving and selfish, and there's a plot by some of the people under him to murder him so they can take over the empire, and then he also has a plot to destroy this one guy's home so he can build a summer castle there, and basically he and that guy end up having to work together, but the guy's like, I will only help you if you don't destroy my home, and he's like, I'm the emperor, I can do whatever I want. Also, the emperor gets turned into a llama, so there's that. If that wasn't weird enough for you, the next book title might be weird for you. The first audiobook I listened to is I Keep My Exoskeletons to Myself. This title makes complete sense once you've actually listened to or read the book. However, out of context, you're like, wait, what now? This one is also very weird because this main character lives in a world where if you're deemed to have harmed somebody, you get an extra shadow. And that extra shadow basically marks you in society as somebody who is just less than and wrong. You get taxed more, people look down on you, people make fun of you. And because there's cameras everywhere, this isn't really a trial situation. You don't get to plead your side of the story. They just see that you did something that harmed somebody and they give you an extra shadow. This one starts with our main character who does have an extra shadow in probably the worst moment of her entire life, because her wife has just passed away, giving birth to their child who now also has an extra shadow. She's never heard of an infant being assigned an extra shadow at birth, and now through her grief she has to raise this child in an unprecedented world where they both have extra shadows, and in a world where she's never heard of a literal child having an extra shadow. One of the many things I find really interesting about this one is we don't know this kid's name until basically the end of the book. Usually our main character is just talking about the kid as the kid. We know she's a daughter, or at least assigned female at birth. And also it takes us a very long time to find out what our main character did to get her extra shadow, and to get a theory on why the kid has an extra shadow. This obviously gets in discussions of privilege and prejudice, and I just really enjoyed it. It was very strange, but I very much enjoyed it. My roommate, who's not even in town, she's in Seattle right now, just texted me like, did you guys get any of that thunder and lightning last night? Yes, we did. The other audiobook that I listened to this week is In Memoriam. This one is about some kids that go off to the First World War, and 2 of them are definitely in love with each other, and it takes them a very long time to realize that they both have feelings in that exact way for each other. Our main characters in this one are 2 boys that attend the same public school in the UK, and that's a little bit confusing, and I'm glad I knew about this ahead of time, because public school in the UK is what we would call private school in North America. Don't know why English does that, but that's just a thing. At this point they've known each other for 4 or 5 years. Sometimes they go back to each other's family houses during the summertime. Because it's just the way of public school children, they always call each other by their last names. So one of them is Gaunt and one of them is Elwood. Gaunt is actually half German on his mother's side. He's been in Munich quite a few times because he has family there. He speaks the language pretty fluently, and he's taken Elwood with him, so they've both been to Germany together. At the beginning of this book, they are too young to join the military because at this point you had to be at least 19. However, this was the 1910s. You could just lie, and that ends up happening, specifically in Gaunt's case, because on his 18th birthday, I believe it is, his mother and sister show up, and his mother's basically like, listen, everyone thinks that your uncle is a spy, so if we had somebody in the family that joined the English side of the military, then maybe they wouldn't think that anymore. So I think that for that reason, and for your sister's marriage prospect reasons, you should join the military. In addition, after that lovely conversation, some girls in town give him a white feather, which is basically their way of being like, you're a chicken because you should clearly be in the military right now and you're not, even though he's not even of age. So he ends up signing up and just going. And after a little while, Elwood follows him. And like I said before, these two are in love with each other. They just haven't really figured out how to tell each other that. Although they do end up at the same point in the war, they are eventually separated, and I'm not going to tell you what happens from there, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Firstly, listening to this, walking around in the mornings, I definitely felt ill listening to it just because of the horrors of war. And this book does not skimp on those types of details. This is really, really intricately written historical fiction, and at the end it actually tells you different places it took first-hand accounts from in order to be as thorough as possible. Secondly, there are sections of this audiobook where you get listings from the newspaper of the people that have died or the people that have been injured, etc. And the way that's recorded is really interesting because it turns into this overlapping of the different names. So instead of just reading one name at a time, you're hearing 2 or 3 names echoing in, and that was a strong choice. Good job, whoever made that choice for the audiobook. Historical fiction about wars is not usually something I read, but this was recommended by my friend Xander. Thank you, Xander. And this was fantastic in a my heart is sick and these idiots just need to realize they're in love type of way. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!